Can you hear now?
Can you hear us now?
All right, just don't use that thing.
All right, so we're not using headsets. Great, great, okay. All right, so hi, Tim and Mark, and I hope that David is with us as well on this. So welcome to this second webinar, all right? I'm going to focus on ADA and go over the narrative a bit with you and the chart. But before I do that, we've had some problems, technical problems that several of our returning regrantee groups have emailed us about and spoken to us about. So we asked Mike Keskowski of KES1 to come and spend some time on this webinar to go over any of those technical problems and to make sure really he can answer your questions at this point. We're recording this, we hope, so that you'll be able to come back to it and hear what he has to say about the technical problems that some of our groups have been having. So give us a moment, and Mike's going to take my seat, say hello to you, and talk about just logging in, logging on, and just really going through how this application process online works, okay? So then I'll be back after that. Can I log in? Oh, sorry.
What do you want to get into the app? You want to show the application on the screen? Yeah. Okay, hold on.
Okay. We're going to put the application on the screen. Give us a minute.
Sorry, folks.
So that's who I am.
Try it again. Sorry, folks. I'm getting a swirling thing trying to connect here. No, it's the presentation. We want to get to the. We're trying to get to the. This is going to bring up the ability to see the screen. But I don't know what's going on here. Why don't you start asking if people have questions, or they can type questions in. Oh, okay. I don't know why this is. I have no idea why this is doing this. It wasn't doing it 15 minutes ago when I was setting it up. Do you want to share your screen? Oh, there you go. There you go. Sorry about that, folks.
All right, so we're all set. So there has been some issues that have been brought to our attention about users that had registered and submitted applications last year, specifically program support. Those issues have been addressed last week, and they should be working properly now. Anyone on this webinar submitting a program support grant application, if you can just reply in the comments, that'll be helpful. Okay, Mark and Timothy, that's great. So are you able to log in? Can you log in right now on your local machine? And what you should get are, the options for technical, grant operating, and program support if you haven't already started the grant. And in the meantime, I can check also. Okay, so you're logged in and have no issues, Mark. That's great. Okay, Timothy, that's great. So what I'm going to do now is, if you have any technical questions regarding, you're having issues accessing program support or accessing technical assistance while you're doing your grant application, if you look on the screen right now, we have an online support option. So anything technical related, if you could please click on this technical support chat area, and that'll contact one of our support representatives. If we're not online, it'll send us a note, and we have everything, we have options on our mobile devices so we can get in touch with you in real time. So again, if you have any problems technically with the grant, you're having an issue saving, you're having an issue saving continuing, you're getting any errors, can you please, just use the support option there, get in touch with us, and then, we'll help you resolve the issue. However, if it's grant related, we can then transfer you over to Meredith in the office to help you figure out what the issues and answer your questions there. So, with that, I'm going to pass it over to Meredith, who will walk you through the ADA. But again, I'm just going to reiterate any issues that you're having with the application. You can always contact the support. And yes, we will be available for during business hours, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Also after hours. Again, if we're offline on the support area, you can always send us a message and we'll receive it and get in touch with you, within the next couple minutes.
So just to do again, where is their support? It will show up on the dashboard screen.
If you just click on the application, you can.
So you'll see it right here in the bottom right of the screen.
Support.
And then you can say, need help. But, I'm actually going to tell you, if you can be a little more descriptive, when you're chatting, need help obviously is not going to be very helpful. But, you can say, I'm having an issue accessing my program support application. It was there yesterday, it's not there today, those sort of things to speed up your submission process. All right, so I'm going to pass it over, and at the end, we'll also send you guys our tech support email address as well, which I'll actually put in here. It's support@KESZ1.com. Okay, so here's Meredith.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. That was great. Okay, now we're going to try and switch back to our application, just to give you some kind of visual help here on this, okay?
There you go.
Great. Okay. Now, what we brought up now, all right, is a blank ADA chart. All right, so on the application itself, before you click on a blank ADA chart, or if you have a chart from last year, okay, it's going to ask you to do a narrative, okay? And I was asked, how do we do a narrative, and what has that got to do with the chart? All right, so I've pulled up a couple of narratives to give you an idea of what people have said in the past in their narrative. And basically what the narrative is an overview, okay, of what you're presenting and how it's accessible. All right, so from last year, to give you an idea, all right, here's part of someone's narrative. Seating at Lincoln Harbor Park is on grass and is not fixed. So long as the ground is dry, wheelchairs can negotiate the park. There's also a paved area on the park's perimeters where wheelchairs can be placed and the concert can be heard. Staff and volunteers and members of the Weehawken Police are available to assist. There are ramps to the park permitting access. Parking is available curbside and in 2 nearby parking lots. Right? Sorry about that. Okay, there are curb cuts from these locations. All right, assistive listening devices are available. If those call ahead and ask for them, we can provide them. Policy is listed on our website. We have and continue to reach out to senior groups and organizations representing people with disabilities in order to make them aware of our programs. We also consider opportunities to engage artists with disabilities. Our website contains our policy, okay, and we have an ADA staff person. All right, so that was basically, it was a summary of one narrative. Another narrative says that because part of their space is not accessible, they have digitized or a computer program available so that someone who cannot manage the stairs to the second floor to see the exhibit can see it online on a computer that is set up right below that exhibit. This was discussed with us when we went and did site inspection for it, and that worked out very well and seemed to be covering what it was that that particular organization could do. They couldn't redo the space and they couldn't leave the space. It is their space. And so they figured out another way to be able to get what they were showing upstairs accessible. However, their first floor, they go over and they say they have flexible seating arrangement for lectures. They can accommodate anyone with special needs. They have their exhibits installed on public computers on the ground floor. They've documented what's going on, and it's available to anyone coming in onto the first floor. They can access all of that. They do outreach to community mental health centers, University Medical Center. They ensure that all their legends and captions are of size and are positioned for easy legibility, along with a guide-by-cell program. They feel that these steps ensure that all who want to experience the museum can do so. The reason I'm saying this is that basically your narrative is there to really provide an overview of what's going on in your space, all right? And we want to hear that because it's a good explanation. To give you an idea of what's going on here, this is a requirement of your application. You must submit both a narrative and a chart. We have an ADA committee that reviews each of these narratives and charts separate from the application itself. We look at the application, but we also look at the narrative. The peer review panel, because it's part of your overall application, also looks at the narrative and the chart, just to see what's going on with all of you in terms of universal accessibility. All right? I want to start with the chart now that's up on the screen, and I want you to understand that what we're trying to do here is make it a step-by-step process for you. And I know a lot of you, as I've said last week and many times with you over the phone, do not own your venues. So we wanted to make it so that what you can control is the first order of business on your chart and in your narrative. And that what you can control is basically your organizational policies. All right, and as you can see on the chart, it says under organizational policies, what is the ADA organizational plan adopted by a formal resolution of your board? Okay, and this is important. So get your board together and have them adopt a formal resolution stating that basically you're all for universal, accessibility, and you've looked at this, and this is what, make a couple of sentences out of it, and that's going on. Who is responsible for that? All right, then the next one is ADA staff coordinator. You need to have a point person, especially when people are coming to your space and want to call you ahead. You need to have someone who understands the questions that they're asking. You need to have someone who understands how to go through your space and really check out if everything will work. How heavy are the doors to the restrooms? Can someone sitting down in a wheelchair push that door open? Can they get into the restroom? Can they get into your space? All right, someone who is dedicated as a staff ADA coordinator, and many of our groups, there's only one person in charge of that group, and that person ends up being the ADA staff coordinator. All right, but that's important because if I call up and say, well, I'm in a wheelchair, and the next thing I hear is, well, I don't really know anything about how you're going to get into here or anything about this. Can you call back another time? I'm never going to come to your space again. And I might, and then, have a grievance against you. So that's the next thing. You need a grievance procedure. What are you going to do if someone comes to you, okay, and cannot get in and cannot see what you're offering to the public with public funds, all right? So you need a grievance procedure written out, and it needs to be board approved, all right? Those are the things that you absolutely have complete control over to do, and we want to know that those are done. So on the right-hand side of the chart, you're going to see this little column called done. We expect to see all of that done now, okay? You have 2015, 2016, 2017 ongoing and cost and resources under this chart as well. We cannot expect you to be able to take care of everything at this moment. Everything is perfect, and you're getting on a scale of 1 to 10, you're getting a 10 on everything. You've got loads of money, you have full control of everything, and everything is completed. We know that that's not possible. So we're giving you time to have that done. We're asking you to tell us what the costs and the resources that you're going to use are. If you can't answer that question, that's okay, but we want to know that you're looking into it. How are you going to deal with all of this, all right? Now I want to go back down to programs and services. On all your publications, anything that goes out to the public, what is your statement about the accessibility to your space, all right? To your exhibit, to your theater program, to your dance program, all right? Do you have accessibility symbols on all your publications? And this is really important. If you have assisted listening devices, put the assisted listening device symbol on your publications. Okay. If you have your wheelchair accessible, put the wheelchair accessibility symbol. If you happen to have sign language interpretation for a program, put that on your publication, okay? And that means, when I say publication, I mean anything that's going out online or hard copy or a poster that's going on. This lets the community know that you care about everyone in the community and that you want everyone you can possibly get able to get into your programming, and this is very important, or all your marketing materials. Think about if you can make a large print publication. If someone calls up and says, hi, I have a little bit of trouble seeing, I'm 75, I forgot my glasses, can you give me a large print of the program for tonight? You can say, sure, we have one of those standing by for you. What is large print? Large print is going to be 16 to 18 point font or larger, okay? Larger can't hurt, it's just going to make it a little bit longer, all right? We're asking, do you have Braille and audio cassette formats? You may say no. You may say, wow, that's a great idea. We could actually do that, okay? Do you have assisted listening devices? Let's say you've got a concert going on, you've got a theater program going on, or you have a discussion that's going on about an art exhibit or a presentation by an artist. You could ask to borrow our assisted listening device at any time, okay? And we will lend it out to you. You do not have to have every program every weekend with an assisted listening device. You can make it clear on your publications that out of 4 weekends of your theater program, for 1 weekend of those 4, you will have assisted listening devices for those who need it, and that they must call you and tell you that they need it. Okay, so put your phone number on your publications and say, for special accommodation, please call this number 2 weeks in advance. You do not need to make something available to someone who calls you that morning or the night before. You're allowed to say to them, I need time to make sure that I can provide to you what you need to really enjoy and take advantage of our programming. So again, assisted listening devices can be on loan from our office if you need it, okay, and we could do it that way. When we go further down on this chart, hopefully, we will see. Yeah, next, there we go. Okay, it says things like sign interpretation, closed captioning, audio tours, tactile exhibits. This is something that I've had a great deal of fun with, okay? We've had art exhibits here in the Brennan Gallery, in the courthouse, where we've really provided certain things that people can actually feel and touch in those art exhibits. And we've done that on purpose to certain groups. We've done outreach to St. Joseph's Concordia School for the Blind, and it's just been a wonderful experience both for the students and actually for me, who did a lot of it and the talking, and allowed them to feel things. All right, so this is really something that you might want to think about and you can investigate. It doesn't have to be done right away, but it's something that you might want to take into consideration. Places like Paper Mill Playhouse will have a special tour behind the scenes to talk to people about what they would be seeing if they had vision or what they might be hearing. All right, they have closed captioning. These things sometimes are expensive and sometimes can be done without using a lot of money. We want you to think about it. We want you to think that really this is something that will be good for your organization as well as for the public. All right? We move down further. This is facility accessibility, and this is really important, right? This is where we want you to walk through your facility. We want you to see what's your signage going on. Is it clear that you have an ADA accessible restroom? If so, how does someone know where it is? Do you have a sign up? Make a sign. Do you have something that points out it's a universally accessible bathroom? All right, go through your building. How many stairs are there? Is there a ramp to those stairs? Can you find a ramp? Can you rent a ramp? Can you build a ramp? All right, we want you to go through your building. Check out the weight of a door to a restroom and make sure that someone can open it with a closed fist. So it's not a doorknob, it's a lever. To change a doorknob and put a lever in costs about $3, but it makes a really big difference. Most doors are self-closing. You can adjust the weight of the door and how fast it shuts behind someone or how easily it opens in front of them when they're in a wheelchair. If you don't own the space, ask your landlord, ask the person who owns the space to just really tweak that device above the door that will make it easier for someone to get through and get into the restroom, all right? You only need basically one. You can have a universal ADA accessible restroom. Every restroom in your facility does not have to be compliant, all right? Then we want you to go a little bit around your building, all right? How are they going to get into your building? Where's the parking? If there's a parking lot, are there special parking spots available for ADA vans, for cars? There's somewhere that people can park and get to your place. Do you have reserved parking? Is there an elevator in your building? Does it work? Can you have access to it during your programming? All right? This is why we want you to walk through the space. All right? Then we want you to walk through your neighborhood. All right? The exterior area. We want you to find out, are there curb cuts? Now, most of, at least Jersey City, has put in curb cuts near a lot, almost at every corner, all right? And in Jersey City, what they've done is they've put an orange kind of like vinyl down at those curb cuts. And that's for people who have loss of vision, so that they know when they've come to the edge of the curb. It's not just a curb cut for wheelchairs, all right? So we want you to ask about public transportation. Look at public transportation. There are many ways that people with disabilities have access to public transportation. It's not your responsibility necessarily to provide it, but if you'd like to reach out to places like Hudson County Heightened Independence and Progress, they will help you out. It's hipsil.org. They will help you out to let you know how to reach out to their community and how they can help you get vans to pick up people to come to your facility, come to your program. All right, so it's really a question of you going through all these things and saying, okay, I've looked at the inside of my building, I've looked at my programming, I've looked at the outreach to the community. I've really done my job in looking to see how I can really provide universal accessibility to my programming. All right, I've made sure that if I'm hanging an art exhibit, that the size of the font is large enough and hung at such a height that someone sitting down in a wheelchair will be able to read it from a lower perspective, okay? Understand that sometimes if you're using cases, someone who is sitting down can't see into that case if the only way to look into it is from above, all right? Take a chair and sit down. When you're having a gathering, like an art opening gathering. Put some chairs out so the person who really can't stand for 5 hours can actually sit down and enjoy themselves at the art opening. These are, in my mind, just generally like courteous ways of going about inviting the public and showing that you care about who's at your program. Also, flexible seating. When you're setting up seating for, let's say, a theater program or a lecture or a dance program, does your space have flexible seating? Where would someone with a wheelchair sit? What is the angle of the ramp? Can they get up? Can they get down? Can they get into your building that way? If the elevator doesn't work, how are they going to get in? All right? We will make site visits rather, and we will really look around. There's also just common sense that gets used in all of this. Now, again, the reason these are 3-year ADA kind of reports to us is because we know you can't accomplish everything right off the bat, all right? And sometimes you might need to do a fundraiser if you own the building to put something in that will really work, all right? The Barrow Mansion, as an example, has an outside accessible elevator for wheelchairs. It makes an enormous amount of noise when it works, okay? It's not really inviting looking, but it does work. And so they're ADA accessible as a result of that, okay? And they have ADA accessible bathrooms. The Lowe's Theater has a ramp that leads down from the entrance to the main stage area that's kind of steep. So when they have a program going on, they make sure that there's someone there, so when someone rolls up in a wheelchair, they're not going to roll down into the front and hit the stage. They want to have some control. If they need help getting up, maybe they're tired, someone is made available during programming to help that person out, okay? And there are areas in that theater where you can actually put a wheelchair without any problem whatsoever. So it's a question of understanding that really what we're talking about is universal accessibility to your programming. And I can't stress this enough, and you know this to be true. Our grant is funded by public money. If you break a leg and are in a cast and need to be on crutches or in a wheelchair, you still want to go to the programs you've always gone to. If you're over 75 or over 65 and you want to go to a program and your eyesight is not as good as it once was, you still want to be able to read a label and you still want to be able to hear the program. It's not necessarily true that what we're talking about are people with any kind of permanent disability, but people with a temporary disability. You don't want to lose that audience. And you really want to show us and your community that you care about everyone in that community, and you're going to take these extra steps to show them that you care and that you're not just taking their money but giving a program that they can't get to. That's really also why you need that grievance, okay? Now, in the guidelines on page 12, okay, we go into a little bit more detail about what the ADA law that came in 1990 was about, okay? We also say that ADA plans will become part of your regrantee file, but should be resubmitted with current year's application, highlighting any progress that you've made. And this is so each year I get new people on this ADA review committee. So if all you gave us was the progress that you made, all right, I'd have to pull out a bunch of material from last year and the year before to bring those people up to speed. So I'm asking you to resubmit if you've had a plan in before and highlight the progress that you've made, all right, from that last year to this year. Maybe just one thing that you made progress in, but that will highlight it, show it to us immediately, and show that you're really making progress on it, okay? Now, so again, on page 12, scope of the plan, we want issues of policy, programs, facilities, audience, and artistic outreach, all right? Now, some of you have said to me, but where do I go for help on this? I'm new, I've never done this before, I don't know what I'm doing, please help me, help me. Okay, I want you to go, and I want you to use some resources out there. And one of the best ones out there is the New Jersey State Council on the Arts and the New Jersey Theater Alliance. The New Jersey Theater Alliance is also the Cultural Access Task Force. It's where I submit our plan, a 3-year plan for our office to the state. It's through the Cultural Access Network. All right? So go to their website. We've got it on page 13. all right, and that'll let you know, give you some ideas of how to do a self-assessment survey, how to go about answering some of these questions. It might give you some plans that you can look at and talk about, all right? There's also other things. There's like VSA of Delaware, and we put this on page 13, so, you can go and look at this. We're not going to do this for you. We want you to investigate this on your own. We want you to spend a little bit of time on it. It is a required part of your application. It's a required part of our application to the state for the funding that we get to pass on through to you. And it does require a little bit of work. It doesn't necessarily take your entire life, but it does require a little bit of work. And we ask that you take that work and do that work and go for it, all right? I think I've covered, very quickly, I've covered a lot of things. So this is a good point now, okay? Is this form, Eileen is typing in, Eileen from the Hoboken Historical Museum. Sorry if this was answered, but is this form available? I have a similar form I created, but would like to make sure I have everything covered. The chart that I just showed you is available on the application. It will say if you do not have a chart, or want a blank chart, click here. It's under the ADA narrative on the application itself. Yes.
It's not part of the program support. It's not part of the technical support.
Oh, it's not on the technical support application because the technical support application has nothing to do with public programming, and that's why it's not there. But it's on the GOS and it's on the program support. If you want to look at this chart and create your own chart, do it your own way, that's okay. We'd like to see them really more organized and repetitive so that the committee can go through these really pretty quickly and see what's going on. So, okay, now Tim is saying where are the guidelines you mentioned, page 12, etc. When you go to www.hudsoncounty.nj.org, okay, and click on the FY 2016 LAP application, okay, it will say if you want to read the guidelines, click here. That's what it says. So click there and you'll bring up the application guidelines. All right, it's as simple as that. And it's available very easily. I've pulled it up very easily. We've had some problem pulling it up, but then that's been settled, and it may be just where you're setting your mouse to click on it, all right? But it's there. And that the guidelines are 14 pages long, all right? So I think we're going to try and pull it up now. There we go. Okay, so here are the guidelines, all right? So if I scroll down, to answer Tim, page 12, Americans with Disabilities Act. Okay? Got it, Tim? Looks like you do. Okay? It's really nice talking to all of you, actually, though I can't see you, and it's generally, a little bit strange this way. Do you have any more questions that you'd like me to answer on this? Okay, so it looks like everyone's pretty settled in on this, all right? And again, just to go back over this, we want you to do this. We want you to succeed on the application itself, all right? I'd love you to get a perfect score on your ADA plan, your chart, your narrative. I really would love that to happen. If it's not a perfect score, at least you've gotten the required material in. If you don't have this with your application, you will not be considered for funding, and that's an important point. So sometimes less than perfect is better than nothing at all, all right? So do what you can, do it as well as you can. Keep in mind your mothers, your fathers, okay? People have broken their legs. Reach out to community organizations. HIPSIL, Heightened Independence and Progress of Hudson County, is an excellent organization. They're available by phone, and you can call them. You can get some advice from them as well. Can we get feedback on our plans after the grants are announced? Yes, we try very hard to give each and every one of you a summary of what the reviewers have said about every part of your application, including the ADA plan, all right? So towards the end of the year, when you will get notification of the award, and all the paperwork that will go with that award. We will try to give you a summary of what the peer review panel has said about your grant application and what the ADA review panel has said about your ADA organizational plan. We're here to help you, okay, in every way we can. Any other questions? The ADA coordinator is just a staff person. Yes, your ADA coordinator is somebody who is really with your organization and is someone that you want to have represent your organization to people in the community who may have some sort of disability, whether it's permanent or whether it's temporary, right? It's someone who understands and can respond to those needs that someone has, all right? Not someone who will pass the buck and say, I don't know what you're talking about, and I'll try and find somebody else who does, all right? Find someone who will answer their questions, or say, I can't answer that question right now, but I will definitely get back to you. Someone who is responsible. This is outreach. This is an outreach person to the community. It's important. And they need to know your organization. Now, let me look at Tim again. Or someone else. What else? Can we have a coordinator for outreach, but also, Tim is still typing. But also a committee of board members that address the issues. Yes, as long as, just think of it this way, Tim, or anyone else. All right, here I am. I don't see very well, but I still want to come to your performance, all right? And I call up your organization. Who do I talk to? Who helps me to get there? Who tells me if I can park my van there? Who can I go to? Does someone have an answer for me, okay? So on your outreach, on your publications, on your flyers, on your invites, all right, you can put a number that says if you need special accommodations, call this number. Now, when someone calls the number, someone's got to answer that phone call and answer that question. We don't really care who that person is, okay? But we want someone there because that's important for your community, okay? And again, you know, this is really, this is not rocket science. This is, firstly, it's federal law, okay? But secondly, it's how you're dealing with your community and expanding. One of the things that I've always tried to get all of you to do, and it's very, very difficult, and I really do understand it, is to think about having people with disabilities as part of your artistic pool, all right? So to me, that's another way of opening up your programming to people with disabilities, not just as audience, but as actual artistic members who are in your programming itself. And that's another thing I'd like everyone to just kind of think about, and we've done some workshops on that to see how that is. There's another thing I want to point out to you. Basically, sometimes someone is going to come to your program, and this is what they're going to have to go through to get there. They're going to ask for a special van to pick them up because they need to be in their either motorized wheelchair or non-motorized wheelchair. They might wait a half an hour to an hour to be picked up to get to your program. Then they have to travel to your program, and there may be other people being picked up as well. They finally get to your program, they sit through the program, they have a really good time, everyone goes home, and they're on the street waiting for that Access-A-Ride van to pick them up again. And they may wait an hour, and they may wait 2 hours after seeing your program, right? Then everyone has to get dropped off, and maybe they're the last one dropped off. They've now invested 4 or 5 hours in coming to see your 2-hour program. Think about that, okay? That's what they've invested getting to you. And trust me, this is a true story that came out during one of our workshops from someone who happens to have cerebral palsy, is not only an actress and a director, but obviously goes to see theater. It took her 5 hours one night, including seeing the program, but it took her 3 hours to get there and back, okay? She waited for vans, she wasn't dropped off first, she was dropped off last. If someone can give 5 hours to getting to your show, you can give some time into creating an Americans with Disabilities organizational plan and care about having that person who's spent that kind of time getting to you. And that is not the only time that I know that that kind of time frame has happened. I've had it with my stepmother who has muscular sclerosis, and I've waited with her on the street in New York at 10 o'clock at night after an art opening to have Accessoride come pick her up. And it was cold and it was winter, and she waited, and we waited with her. She enjoyed the art program, but I'm sure in some ways waiting for that ride for such a long time was really just really hard on someone, all right? So people are really trying to get out to see you, your programs, and be part of the culture that we're providing in Hudson County, that you're providing in Hudson County with this grant. So cut them some slack, okay, and think about what their needs are and see if you can give them some ability to get to see what you're doing, okay? Tim is saying accessibility statement. Where can we see samples of that appropriate language? Go to the websites that are on the guidelines, okay? See what they have to say. Call them up if you need to. Talk to them about it. See what's going on, okay? And do some research on that and investigation. And you'll form a wonderful example of appropriate language for your statement. You don't want to use words like wheelchair bound because no one is tying these people up in chairs. Okay, and that's been pointed out over the years on some of our plans that have been submitted, that some of their language was really not appropriate, okay? So sometimes now there's different language and you need to get familiar with that. So go to these websites, call them up, call the cultural access line. These people will talk to you, they'll love to talk to you, and they'll tell you a lot of things that maybe I don't even know that will help you create this plan, all right? Anything else that we can ask?
You want to type that website into the thing, that one, the high solar?
HIPSA?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, you type it in. Okay.
Just to recap, so if you have, substantive questions regarding your application, feel free to give us a call, or, by now you have all our emails, or give us a call, 459-2070, and if you have technical questions, feel free to click on that help button, and they will get back to you as expeditiously as possible.
Yeah, we're always here to help you. That's really what our job is here for this particular, grant application. But we do need you to do some work when it comes, to really looking into it. And I'm very pleased this year, as the whole office is very pleased, that Mike Kiskowski has put that support button up there for you. I've had a couple of questions on things that seem to be glitches. What I suggest all of you do when you're going through your application is double check what you're doing as you go along. You're looking at an application, you want to do it really well. For instance, today it was just something that came up, and I believe it was with Eileen. When she was going to her budget pages, it says amount of the LAP grant, and she tried to put in that figure, and it turns out that the computer will calculate that figure, but you have to enter that figure on page 1. Sometimes it's a glitch, sometimes it's that you've just not seen it. We've tried to make this application in such a way that as you go along, if you've missed something and then you try and submit it, it won't take the submission. And that's the fail-safe for you. Okay, it shows that your budget's balanced. It shows you've entered all the information that you need to enter. Okay, I've also gotten the question that one of the text boxes that was supposed to allow for 3,000 characters and probably spaces, okay, was only taking 1,500 characters and spaces. That's a tech question. I can't answer what went wrong in that glitch. But, okay, so you can ask and hit the support and ask what's going on with that. Or you can get yourself down to 1,500 characters and spaces. Okay. Again, what we recommend is that you use a Word document, right? Answer your questions off the application on a Word document. That way you can count your characters and spaces. You can do easy editing. And then when you feel that that particular question has been answered really well, then you can cut and paste it into the document. Save your information all the time. It's the best thing I can possibly tell you, as we all know from all the years we've ever been on computers. Just save it, okay, so that you don't lose it, all right? And we're here to help, okay? So we have one more thing. I downloaded the self-assessment survey. On the chart, we only say whether we have done it or not. Do you need a copy? No, we don't need a copy of the self-assessment survey. We just need you to fill out that chart. That is your self-assessment survey. It shows that you've assessed your facilities, your programs, your surroundings, everything, your outreach, your materials. So that's all we need. We need the narrative and the chart answered. Anybody else? Okay, so we can let everyone go home early, actually, because we're 10 minutes past. I'm just going to wait for a minute. Let's see. Everybody's typing now. Oh, my gosh. Okay. Thanks so much. Great. I'm glad it was helpful, Mark, and I hope that, you know. So does everything like, whatever. Okay, I'm not quite sure. Does everything, I'm not sure I understand. Does everything have to be completed? Or is this something the board can do? I'm going to jump in here and say that there have been times when we're asking you for a board approved statement or resolution, and your board is not due to meet. Okay, send out a statement to your board via email and get them to vote on it and okay it, and that way you'll have it. Okay, I understand that boards don't meet all the time. All right. Question. Wait, does that go in? Again, I'm not quite sure, Tim, what you're asking me. Your board resolution and statement, I don't even remember if it goes into the narrative. You can attach it. I think there's uploads of what are required. Yeah, extra documents. Yeah. You can put it in the narrative. That works out fine too, because it's a two-sentence, basically it's two sentences. Okay? Great, terrific. Okay, Mark, that answers that question. Yeah. Thank you all for talking to each other. Okay. Go back over to the application. What you can upload for us, all right? But make sure that the chart is filled in and that your narrative covers the stuff that you would like us to know you've done. Okay, that's really what it comes down to. All right, call the office if you need help with this, but actually I will be on vacation for a week, all right? But the rest of the office is here to help you. Bill is here to help you. Joe is here to help you. Carlene will be here to help you, okay? And again, use HIPSL.org, all right? Hudson County Heightened Independence and Progress. Use the Cultural New Jersey Theater Alliance and the Cultural Access people, okay? And just answer what we're asking you to submit, and that's a really great part of this. This is not the entire application. It's only a part of the application. Remember, it has to be submitted in order for you to get funding. It doesn't necessarily have to be perfect, but it has to be submitted. Okay? Are we okay now, guys? Ladies and gentlemen? Thanks. Good. Yep.
All right.
Terrific. Have a great evening. Good luck with your applications. I hope you're getting great programming going on. We rely on you. And as Bill had said last week, and I will say it again, you are the ones that are bringing culture to Hudson County, and we thank you very, very much for your just tireless energy that brings this county so much wonderful programming. And we want to see it continuing. We want to be able to help you with funding, all right? So we're here. Great. Have a great night, everybody.